So this week in lab, you will be learning how to use the instrument called the gas chromatograph, or GC for short. And the instrument is located right here. And I'm going to show you the procedure for injecting your sample into the gas chromatograph. This week, you're going to be simply learning how to use the instrument by separating 3 different alcohols. I have that here, and you want to make sure that you keep it corked after you prepare it. Okay? So this solution contains 2 milliliters of ether, 3 drops of 1 pentanol, 3 drops of 1 butanol, and 3 drops of 2 butanol. Okay? So we're going to use this and learn how to use the instrument. I'm going to show you how to determine the volume of solvent that you need to add to the GC. We're going to be using a pretty accurate syringe, and I have 2 examples here. One is a 10 microliter syringe, which has markings every 1 microliter. So you can measure down to the nearest 0.1 microliter. Due to the requirement for a close-up, I'm going to be showing you the technique using a 500 microliter syringe. Okay, so the syringe has a glass outer coating and a metal plunger, which you can see here, and then a metal tipped syringe. So if we want to measure out some volume, say 50 microliters, the general procedure that we're going to follow for the GC is that we're going to pull out the plunger just a little bit to give us an air bubble between the plunger and the opening of the needle. And then we're going to take our solution here and pipette up a certain volume. Doesn't have to be 50 microliters, just a certain volume. Now that we have the metal plunger, an air bubble, and our solvent, we're going to then pull up another air bubble. Okay? So you're going to see what you should see in the video, and you'll see a close-up of this later, is you're going to see the opening of the syringe, an air bubble, your solvent, which in this video is red, and another air bubble, and then your metal plunger. To read the, to get the volume of solvent that you need, you're actually going to push down the plunger to around 50 microliters. Okay? And what that's going to do is that's going to expel some liquid. And you can read the 50 microliters off your syringe. You're now going to take a chem wipe, and you're going to wipe the blade of the syringe, the needle of the syringe. And now you can pull out the plunger again, and what you should read here is approximately 50 microliters. And you'll now see a close-up of this syringe, which will show you what you should be looking for. Inject your sample into the GC, and the proper procedure for this is not to hold onto the plunger. Okay, you want to hold onto the needle, and you're going to put this into the hole of this silver knob at the top. We're going to inject this in there, and initially you're going to feel a lot of tension because there's a septum there the needle has to go through. So this is going to be one smooth motion. We're going to push this in, push the plunger in, and pull it out. Your partner will then push collect on the computer. So while your alcohols are separating, while your chromatograph is running, you should take this time to record the data that you need for this lab. Okay? There are several pieces of data that you're going to need to record so that if you ever needed to repeat this experiment, you could repeat it so that it's reproducible. The GC number is listed on top of the instrument, as well as the type of column that we're using. So you need to record both of those pieces of information. The column temperature is located right here, and if the column button is depressed, we'll be reading that actual value. To switch from the column to the detector temperature, you simply have to push in that button, and as you can see, this is reading around 220 degrees Celsius. To read the injector temperature, we push the next button, which is the injector, and this is reading around 162 degrees Celsius. Okay? The other things you'll need to record are your helium flow rate here in PSI, pounds per square inch. And it would also be nice if you recorded the range of your graph as well as the attenuator factor, okay, on your graph. These two knobs tell you how big the peaks were in your spectrum. So when you're running the gas chromatogram, you're using the instrument, there are three sources of confusion, or three sources of potential errors that you may run into. The most common is that when you have your solution in your syringe, and you're getting ready to inject it, and you inject it, let's go through the motions, right? So if I was to get to the septum, I push this in, and students get a little excited, so they push the plunger in really fast. And what happens is the plunger bends. This is a very thin piece of metal, right? There's no need to rush for this. You simply need to do a controlled motion here, push it in, and then pull the whole needle out, the whole syringe out. Okay, the second source of confusion is if you're injecting and you forget to wipe off the outside of the syringe, then what will happen is you will have solution on your syringe needle, as well as the solution in your syringe. So what will happen is you'll get this thing called peak doubling. You'll get two sets of peaks in your spectrum. And you'll see a picture of this later on in the video. Okay. The third source of confusion is a lot of people have to work. This is not a very straightforward procedure. When you inject your sample through the syringe or through the septum, you push it in, you push the plunger in, and a lot of people will tend to leave this there. Okay? You don't want to leave this in the instrument. You want to pull this out as soon as you push the plunger in. Okay? So one smooth motion will give you the best chromatogram. So before you start using the GC syringe, and after you've used the GC syringe, you want to clean it with the solvent that you've run your sample. To do this, you simply place the syringe into the solvent and pipette up and down maybe 6 or 7 times to clean any debris and to get the solvent into your syringe.